Welcome to the Karen Kenney Show. Hey, you guys, welcome to the Karen Kenney Show. I'm super duper excited to be here with you. And I'm going to try to bang this sucker out pretty fast. I got a lot of moving parts happening in my world right now. And this is one of them. But I wanted to share something with you that is a personal story, which I'm hoping has universal appeal. So I often talk about storytelling, whether you're a writer, a songwriter, somebody who speaks, you have a podcast, when you're a communicator. We don't just want it to all be about me, 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 me. Any story that I share, I am hoping somehow you will find the universal lesson, the universal teaching, the universal relatability within the personal details. So I'm going to share a story with you and just buckle up for safety. This is a good one. And I'm wicked excited. I'm going to make a little announcement and tell you about something that I have never, ever done before in my life. So just if you like a good story, if you want to hear a little bit about a spiritual team, STOTJ on the job, you might call it kismet, you might call it synchronicity, you might call it universal signs, divine happenings, whatever. This is such a fantastic thing, and it's taken even me by surprise, and I'm kind of hard to surprise. So I'm just going to dive in. You might have seen the name of this episode. It's called Saying Yes Before You're Ready. And if you're like me, even just that sentence can make you a little anxious. If you're listening to this and not watching, I'm kind of grabbing at my shirt around my chest, oh my God, saying yes before you're ready. Ugh. So many of us. I'm not going to say all of you, because there are some adrenaline junkies out there. That are people who are really high risk takers, they're into that. But if you're like me, I like a little bit more certainty. And I know we can't always have it. I know that, some people, I think it's Neil Donald Walsh says, if you want guarantees in life, right, then basically you're defeating the whole purpose of life, right? Because it's not going to come with guarantees. So something happened recently. I'm going to just break this down for you. And this story has elements of art and surprise and connections. And Bob Ross is even in here too. So buckle up for safety and let's go for a little ride. So about 2 weeks ago from today, I was on a little artist date. And I went with my friend Emily Aborn. I call her Emmeline. You guys have heard me talk about her before. But Emmeline had reached out to me and said, hey, I'm going to this workshop in Concord, right? Which is right where I live, right? That area. And she's like, on Monday night, blah, blah, blah. Now, I had a speaking gig on Monday day, and I was going to be in Portsmouth all day, but I was going to be home in time where I could join her for the workshop. So that's number one. Number two, all these, I'm going to connect the dots for you. Number two, the workshop was at a place that I have been dying to get to and go to. And it's because another friend had said to me, or two other friends who happened to be married, said to me, you have to go to this place. You have to meet this person. I think you guys will totally hit it off. Da, 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 da. I was like, okay, yeah. And it's one of those things that had been brewing in the back of my head for a year or something, right? It's just oh, I got to get over there. I got to go over. And you guys know how that is when you have an intention and you're yeah, I want to do that thing. I got to do that thing, whatever. And then it just kind of sits there. So Emily's okay. And I said, where's the workshop at? And she's like, it's at the 11th letter. And I'm like, the 11th letter writing gallery? And she's like, yeah. I go, the one on North Main Street, downtown Concord? She's like, yeah. I'm like, oh my God, Emmeline, I've been dying to go there. I'm so excited that I get to go and have this experience with you. So that happens. Okay. Now, my other friends, it doesn't really, all the characters don't matter too much, but my friends, Paul and Stu, Paul is a photographer and he's an artist, and he also is now incorporating writing into his photography. And he works with the owner of the 11th letter, whose name is Jocelyn Wynn. And Jocelyn is lovely, which I came to find out. So Paul and Mary kept saying to me, you have Mary, who I call Stu. So Paul and Stu are you have to go to the 11th letter. You have to meet Jocelyn, da, 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 da. Well, now here was my opportunity to go do this thing. And I was so excited. And when Emily and I showed up at this beautiful little space in downtown Concord. Look, if you're a local, you got to come check this place out. It's think of it like it's the 11th letter writing gallery, and it's this whole concept. It feels like an art gallery. It is an art gallery, but the art that it is mostly highlighting is like writing, or any piece that is on the wall has to do with words, writing, literary things, right? Like books, this whole thing. And the woman who owns it, as I told you, Jocelyn Wynn, Jocelyn is also a writer, but she's also a book coach and an editor. So she does editing. So she's basically brought her love of all things words and writing and editing, whatever, into this beautiful gallery space. Okay. So Emmeline and I show up there. We have a fantastic workshop. Jocelyn and I start talking, and we immediately are like bing, 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 bing. We start connecting all of these dots. Both of us went to college in Boston. Both of us were out in LA. Both of us this, both of us that. We were just like laughing. And in fact, we even had a moment where I'm like, what exit do you live off of? And she's like, exit so and so. I'm like, that's my exit. And she's like, yeah, I live right off. And I said, I know your house. So I had been driving by her house for years and years and years. So, you know, one of those kismet moments where I talk about it like when you play one of those games where you like, when we were little kids, you would like drop a little ball down and it would go like gunk, 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 gunk. And I'm like moving my hand down in like a zigzag. And all of a sudden it clunks in place, right? It's like, and it's like, yeah. So like all these little pieces, it literally felt like, the gods that be, or I call it like the all the force that somehow brings people together, that connects us. It's like that all of a sudden, that randomness that we often feel in the world, all of a sudden there's a moment of kismet where things just go and like they lock into place. And it was like, oh my God. And I can only describe it as having this sense of this moment was destined, like she and I were supposed to meet. So it was really fantastic. And maybe you've had that experience in your life too, where you meet somebody and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, like this moment was supposed to happen. And I know you felt it like sometimes when you fall in love and you're like, oh my God, I feel like I've known you my whole life. Like, or you just meet people and you're like, oh my God, their energy or their essence or their way of being feels ancestral. It feels like you've known each other before, like other lifetimes, we sometimes say, or people will say, oh, you're my soul sister or my soul friend or whatever it is. But it was just one of those things, right? Double amen hands if you can relate, where I just felt like, oh, I was supposed to be here. And the workshop, it was fantastic. And it was just Emmeline and I. So the three of us got to have this really intimate, like, experience together. And Jocelyn was such a wonderful, like, and generous. She was generous. She was a generous host. She was a fantastic host. Just lovely. You know what I mean? You know, when you meet people, and that's the only way you can say it. Wow, they're just lovely. And there's a lot of assholes in the world. It's really easy to not be lovely. It's just the truth. So when you meet somebody that just strikes you that way, I was like, oh my God, this is wonderful. So I hope you're going to stick around for like the rest of this story. I know you're like, why should I give a shit? Because I want you to be on the lookout for these moments in your own life, and like, don't take them for granted. When you have that moment of kismet, when you have that moment of like universal mystery, and all of a sudden, like the light is shining on something, like the beauty of this is when you're paying attention, if you slow down enough, if you have a DSP, a daily spiritual practice, where you practice allowing the mind to slow down. It doesn't mean you shut it off and it goes completely quiet, but you're just able to slow down enough that you can pay attention with great care, that you can be vigilant for like noticing. It's one of the greatest ways that we show love for ourselves in our own life and other people, is to pay attention and to recognize a moment when it's happening. So I hope that you do that. So long story short, Jocelyn and I like totally hit it off. I go home later that night. I'm raving to her about my sweetie. I'm saying, oh, Emmeline and I had so much fun. And I was so happy that I got to have the experience with Emmeline, because Emmeline and I are both writers, and we both love the written word, and we love books, and we love reading, and we love all of it. So we were like geeking out in our natural habitat of weirdos. You know what I mean? When the writers get together, it's like all the like weirdos are convening. And so I'm just telling him about it. And later that night, I go online and I go on Facebook or whatever. And I see an old post because Jocelyn and I weren't friends before this, right? So I'm kind of connecting the red thread for you right now. I'm connecting the through line this for this. So I go online because I want to like friend her and I want to start following, if there's another page that I wasn't aware of, like her editing services, whatever. I'm like, oh, I'm just going to go in and like things and follow things. I made a new friend, I was so excited. And I go in and I see on her Facebook page that she had done a post like back at the beginning of March, maybe somewhere around there, talking about an art show that was coming up at the gallery. Now, anything that hangs at the gallery, like I already said, it has to have some sort of like words in it. It has to do with words and letters and whatever. It can't just be like, it's just a picture. Like it's not that kind of gallery. There's plenty of art galleries in Concord that do that. But this is Jocelyn's own kind of like love letter, I think, to the literary world. So I see that she has put a call out to artists to show at the May exhibition, the May 2026 exhibition that was coming up. And the call for art at the 11th Letter Writing Gallery was, the title of it for the show is called The Mothership. And when I see, oh my God, you guys, I'm like holding my head in my hands. When I see this name, it's like I almost literally like jump out of my body because for many reasons. Number one, May is all things to do with my mother, right? If you know me in my regular life, if you follow me long enough, May is like my mother's birthday. All these things happen in May within 2 weeks of each other, okay? The anniversary of my mother's death, the anniversary of my mother and my stepfather's marriage, my mother's birthday, Mother's Day, my sister's birthday. It's just like, boom. Even Emmeline's birthday is also in May. And so is Jocelyn's, all within like this 2 week period. It's so crazy. But May, is the month of mom for me. So when I see, I'm like, holy shit, there's like going to be an exhibition called The Mothership in May. I was like, oh my God. Now here's what's so interesting. I have never been involved in an art show, ever. I have no piece made. I have nothing prepared. All I know is that all the lights, like ding, 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 ding. I'm running my hands like up the front of my body. Like all the lights in me are like ding, 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 ding. I'm like, oh my God. I wish I had known about this sooner. It's not even a logical thing to say because I'm like, I have no artwork to show. I don't even know what I would be doing, right? But I see it. And for some reason, I type in the comments, oh man. And this is an old post. And I'm like, nobody's even going to see this comment, right? But I leave a comment and I was like, oh man, rats, like I wish I had seen this sooner. It's right up my alley. I can't wait to come check out the show, whatever I said, right? And boom, I send it off into La La Land. Okay. The next day I go to teach a yoga class and Stu shows up. Now, as I told you, Mary Stewart, Stu, and Paul, right, are my friends who told me you have to meet Jocelyn like a year ago. So Stu's one of my yoga students. She shows up to class and she says to me, she had seen a post I had done after the writing workshop at Jocelyn's thing. And she said to me, I'm so glad that you and Jocelyn finally met. And I was like, oh my God, she's lovely. And Stu says to me, I knew you guys would hit it off. And then Stu says to me, I'm so bummed. She goes, I wish you had met each other sooner because that May exhibition show would have been perfect for you. And I said, I know. I said, I left a comment. I go, I'm so bummed. And I'm like, but I find out that her husband, Paul, is going to be showing. So I'm excited. I'm like, great. I'll still get to go and check it all out. Okay. And then I let it go. I put it out into the ethers like a couple of times, right? I wish. It's like, rubbing the genie bottle, but it's just like, it's a heart's desire. But again, I have no artwork prepared, like whatever. No concept. But I'm laughing because as a yoga teacher, I did my YTT, my yoga teacher training at Kripalu, at the Kripalu Yoga Center, out in the Berkshires in Massachusetts in like 2001, like so a gazillion years ago, 25 years ago. I lived at Kripalu for like a month. And almost all Kripalu yoga teachers, at least the ones that I know, we all refer to Kripalu, the place, right, as the mothership. And so when I see the thing that the show is called The Mothership, it's in May, all about mom, like all this thing, I was like, oh my God. And the heartbeat of The Mothership, what the exhibition is all about, it's about combining visual art and writing on the concept of quote unquote mother. So it could be Mother Nature. It could be the motherland. It could be being a mother. It could be anything that has to mothering. It could be like Mother Nature, like whatever. It could be on the concept, right? The concept of mother, whatever that means to you. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this would have been so amazing. Okay. So the next day after the writing workshop, I make that comment, go about my life. And then I meet my friend Melissa downtown in Concord at Gibson's bookstore. Of course I do, because we love Gibson's bookstore, my favorite local indie bookstore, in downtown Concord, New Hampshire, owned by the fabulous Michael Herman. So we go there, we meet up, and it's a gorgeous day out. And she's like, you want to just walk around? Let's spend time together. So we both cancel like plans. And so we can just continue hanging out, talking about all kinds of things. So we're just walking up and down the streets. We're popping into shops. We're doing all this stuff. And we start talking about writing. And I've been telling Melissa for years, like, you got to write a book. You got to write a book. Melissa is so funny. She's like, she's wicked smart. She's wicked funny. She has a very particular sense of humor. I was like, we've just been talking about it for a wicked long time. So we're talking about writing, and then I said to her, have you seen, the 11th letter, the writing gallery? And she's like, no. And I said, I was just there. We did this workshop. I said, I don't even know if she's going to be open or if she's there, but let me just go show you where it is. So we walk all the way from Gibson's all the way down Main Street. And when we get in front of the 11th letter, I see the open sign, and Jocelyn's in there. And it's like, oh my God. So we go in and we start talking, and we have a fantastic conversation, right? And we're like kind of catching Melissa up to speed about all the ways that that Jocelyn and I were connected, blah, blah, blah. Okay. We have an amazing time. We hang out there for like an hour. We talk about some workshops that I'm going to be bringing to the 11th letter, because it's an idea that we're floating around, this thing I'm going to do. We leave. That's the whole thing. Okay. Like, I don't know if it's the next day or whatever. I'm not sure on the exact date, but like the next day or whatever, all of a sudden I get an email from Jocelyn, and she says, one of the artists has dropped out of the Mothership exhibition. Do you want to have the space? You guys, I was like, what the fuck is happening right now? I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And I was like, I don't know. I've never done an art show before. I don't even have a piece. Like, I need to think about it. Like, da 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 da. Okay. So I check in with myself first of all, and I'm like, will you regret this if you say no? And the other part of my brain, when we talk about like the angel on one shoulder, the devil on the other shoulder, really it's just like these different parts of yourself. I don't necessarily consider one good, one bad. I think they're just different parts. One is like, you think about it, fear or love. One that's more like excited, one that's more anxious, whatever you want to look at it. But these two parts of myself are going back and forth. And one is like, oh my God, we should do it. The other one's like, are you crazy? You've never had an art show before. Who do you think you are? You're not ready. You're not ready. How can you say yes? You're not ready. And the other part of me is going, say yes, say yes, say yes. The other part saying like, you're not ready, right? So I talked to my sweetie. I talked to my best friend, KT. I talked to my friend, JT, right? And because they're just like, what's going on? And I'm like, okay, this is what's happening. I talked to Emmeline, right? And all of them are like, basically, my sweetie was a little hesitant because he doesn't want me to get distracted from finishing the first, like, I'm trying to get this memoir done. And I've been really like that. That's kind of like been my focus. Like, this is where I want to put my energy right now. And he's like, I just don't want it to be distraction. I said, it's not going to be a long distraction because the pieces have to be in like a week. Whatever I'm showing has to be in like a week. So I have a week to focus on it. And then after that, it's out of my hands. And he's like, okay. So then everybody's just telling me, you should do it. You should do it. You should do it. So I say to Jocelyn, yes. I said, I'm going to say yes. I'm thinking to myself, I'm saying yes before I'm ready. I'm saying yes before I'm ready. And I start thinking about this old, like there's that quote that you've heard that says, leap and the net will appear, right? So I had that in my head. I'm like, leap and the net will appear, right? The thing that's going to catch me is going to appear. And I trust my spiritual team, and I trust all these like the inner teacher. I'm like, okay, this is a beautiful way to honor my mother. I still have no idea what the fuck I'm going to do, but I'm like, this is going to be a fantastic way to honor my mother. Because every year in May, especially on the weekend that usually like between like May 7th and May 14th, like in that span of time, I usually go down to Massachusetts. I go to the place where my mother's body was found. I go to the cemetery, like I plant new flowers. Like this is like my time. And I'm always doing things, these rituals to, give my mother her flowers, so to speak, to honor her life, to honor her death. To spend time with her in that way, right? I'm always with her, and I'm putting my hands up around my head and in my heart, right? She's always with me. She's always in the ethers. But these are things that I specifically, consciously, and intentionally do every year to like honor her. And I just thought, and I had been thinking last year, like, maybe it's time to like not necessarily do something quote unquote different, but just something, yeah, like something new, like maybe in addition to the things that I already do. So I was like, what a fantastic opportunity to really pay homage to my mother, to really infuse my energy and enthusiasm for getting me over the hump of getting this final draft, this draft done of this memoir. And I'm like, okay, like I'm gonna do it. And then I remember this quote that I love that I used to keep like above my computer. And it says something like, I'm paraphrasing, but sometimes the only transportation available to you is a leap of faith. And I love that. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to take a total leap of faith, and I'm going to bet on myself. And I know that I'm like, something's going to come to me. And so as soon as I set the intention and said yes, and I said yes before I was ready, one part of me was like, oh shit, what did you get yourself into? And the other part of me, which is like the subconscious mind. And this is what we know, people. This is what we know. Like 95 to 97% of everything we think, say, and do is happening in the subconscious. And I call my subconscious, right? Like my mind, that part of my mind, I call it like the library. And in the library, I have many librarians, and they've got a card catalog, and they got all kinds of memories. They have sensory memories. They have, like seeing and hearing and smelling and touching and feeling. They have all the things that my brain has clocked from the time that I was in the womb until me right now. And I'm like, there is a lot of art there. There is a lot of creativity and curiosity and history and ancestry. Like there's so much up in there. And I'm like, I don't have to, and this is like the things I started saying to myself, I don't have to know. I don't have to know exactly how this is going to happen. I can trust myself. And I kept saying, I can trust myself, right? Like I can trust you guys, right? And I was like, hey, STOTJ, you're on the job. Spiritual team, you're on the job. I need help. And it goes to the prayer that I say every single day, right? Adapted from A Course in Miracles, that says, please have me go where you would have me go. Have me do what you would have me do. Have me say what you would have me say, and to whom. Please use me, right? Make me an instrument of your peace. Use me as an instrument. May I be in service to love, right? Like, may I be a pilgrim to love. May I be in service, right? To the great divine, to the good, the beautiful, the holy. And so I say this, and I've been saying it every day for over 30 some odd years, right? Like, have me go where you would have me go. And I just trusted. I'm like, okay, something's going to come to me. Some idea is going to happen. I don't know what it is. I don't know how this is going to work, but I have to trust. And then all of a sudden, it was literally like I woke up in the morning. And this is the beautiful thing about that quiet time in the morning, right? We know with brain science and why so many spiritual lineages we say it's like, have your quiet time with God. Have your quiet time, whether it's with yourself or your higher power. I always say, use whatever word you like, your creativity, the universe, right? The divine mind, whatever you want to call it, right? That loving intelligence that you spend time with. We say do it first thing in the morning. And then we also say do it at night right before bed. Because your brain waves are moving out of, so in the morning, you're coming out of delta, which is that state where you're totally asleep. And you're moving up through theta and alpha and then beta. Beta is when we're fully awake, like me right now talking to you, right? So, but that place in between the alpha and theta place, that's almost like a liminal space. Like that's like a place where trance can happen. That's a place where daydreaming happens and idea creation happens. That's where so much becomes possible. And I think things become more malleable and exciting, and that to me is like the realm of creativity. Before we're overthinking everything with an active mind, and before we're like knocked out and having crazy dreams, right? That's the play, like the playland of the subconscious to me is in alpha and theta and delta. So I was like, so that's that liminal space. And it's the same thing as you're going to sleep. So in the morning, you're coming out of delta and you're going up. When you're falling asleep, you're moving from beta to alpha and theta. In that place, like right before you're falling asleep, this is when it's really good to say positive things to yourself, or to present a problem to your subconscious right before sleep, and like let the, not like anything that's gonna keep you up at night, but let's just say there's a creative project and you're like trying to get an answer to something, and you just kind of go like whatever, right? And you just put it out there and say, hey, I always say, you guys are on it right now. I'm going to sleep. You guys work on it. I tell the librarians, right? Like you guys are on it. So the resource desk is on it, right? In my mind. So that's a really fantastic time when you're trying to change beliefs, or you're trying to step into your creativity. That daydreamy place is like so powerful. And so I just kind of was like, I'm turning this over. I have now said yes. I've committed to this thing. And you guys, when I tell you that I woke up one morning and all of a sudden this image like kind of came into my mind. And I was like, okay, this is what I think it's going to entail. And I'm like, there's going to be some pictures. There's going to be there's going to be like, da, da, da. I don't want to tell you what it is, but it starts to form. And as it starts to form, I'm like, okay, I'm going to tell my sweetie and Katie and Emmeline about this and see what they think. And I tell them, and they're all like, oh my God, you have to do this. Like, you have to do this. And more elements. It's literally like, just imagine being at a magical restaurant, right? Where it's not even a buffet, because I'm not even going up and looking at things and putting it on my plate. It's like it's being delivered right to me. And it's like all of a sudden another element will come in, another element will come in. And I'm like, oh my God, like all these pieces are starting to come together. And so I have to like go and tell Jocelyn, right? So I've kind of said, like, she's like kind of like holding the space. So I said yes to myself. I didn't want to say yes to her until I had kind of flushed it out. And so I was like, I told my friends, I told my sweetie, I'm like, this is what I'm thinking. They're like, yes. So I go back to the studio. I like pop over to the writing gallery, and she happens to be there. And I sit down and I say, I'm going to say yes. And this is what I'm thinking. And she just looks at me and she's like, oh my God, like you have to do this. And I'm like, I know, I'm so excited. So this is part one. I'm just letting you know, little announcement. I'm going to be showing a piece, just like one piece, in my very first art show ever. I'm so excited. There's more to this story. Sit tight, because the next section I also is like to help you. Thank you for listening to my story. I'm telling you this because I said yes before I was ready, and I'm going to like now wrap that up in a bow for you. But first, I want to make sure, if you've listened this far, that if you're a local person, okay, the show goes up on May 1st. The show goes live on May 1st. It runs all the way to the end of the month. I think it comes down on May 30th. So it goes up on May 1st. And May 1st also, it's a Friday. And it's in parallel with In Town Concord's first Friday downtown crawl. So, when people go, walk up and down and go to all the different shops and stuff like that. So if you're in Concord, right, on May 1st, like the show will be up live, and it'll be my piece, and my friend Paul is showing, which is wicked exciting, and there'll be other different kinds of artists there, so which is really exciting. But on May 8th, Friday, May 8th, this is the opening reception. And that's when the artists will actually be there to talk about their work, to mingle with the people who come in for the show, and to learn about the artists and the piece that they created. And that's Friday, May 8th from 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. And this is all happening again at the 11th Letter Writing Gallery. It's, I want to say it's 146 Main Street, downtown, North Main Street, I think it is. And let me just make sure because I don't want to send people to the wrong place. I mean, you can just Google it. We all have things, right? So let's see. Yep, 146 North Main Street, Concord, New Hampshire. The 11th Letter Writing Gallery. So that's the show. Okay, now I've committed to doing a thing that I have never done before. I said yes, I wasn't ready, but then slowly the universe, my spiritual team, God, source, the creative life force, whatever you want to call it, started delivering me different elements. And I was like, oh my God. So I have been in a mad rush. I have been in a mad, like, just like, oh my God, I got to pull it together. I got to start to get all these things. And that's where I'm going right now. I got to go get another piece of this whole thing that I'm putting together. And as I've been working on it, you can see kind of, I'm actually going to turn my chair because I don't want you to see it because you can see part of it on the floor behind me. But as I'm doing this, I start to, there's always those moments in the act of creativity where it's not even just resistance, but self-doubt creeps in. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like you can hear the voice, right? That critical voice in the mind, right? Like, why do you think you can do this? Is this even going to be any good? I'm like, I don't want it to look amateurish. I don't want this to look like shit. Like, oh my God, other real artists are going to be showing at this thing. Like all this stuff starts coming up in my head. And I'm kind of stressing about it. And I take a break and I go downstairs. And one of the things that we often do for Bunchy, right? Our little pug, Bunchy. If you've never seen Bunch, he's the cutest little pug ever. So we leave Bob Ross on for him. So Bob Ross is on in my house like at least once a day. It's the channel we keep the TV on. So if the TV turns on, the first thing we hear in our house is Bob Ross talking. And I was a huge fan of Bob Ross as a kid, right? Bob Ross, I have my Bob Ross little stuffy right over there on my shelf. And he and Mr. Rogers have been my creative companions like my whole life. And what I'm telling you is, as I've been trying to put this exhibition together, this piece for this exhibition, I've been whispering little Bob Rossisms to myself. I've been whispering little Bob Rossisms to myself. And I'm going to just tell you some of the things I've been saying to myself. And this is from years of like literally hearing him on the TV, right? Because we've always left him on for our dogs. When we would leave the house, if both of us was going to be gone out of the house, we would like turn on Bob Ross for our furry kids, right? And as I'm starting to like second guess myself or like whatever, these like I'm whispering to myself as I'm doing this. And Bob Ross always says things like, anything that you're willing to practice, you can do. And I would say this to myself, anything that you're willing to practice, you can do. And then he says, the secret to doing anything is believing that you can do it. So I'm just like, the secret is believing you can do it, right? And Bob Ross, when he paints, he would always just like say these different things. He'd say, you can do anything you want. This is your world. And I was like, yeah, like this piece that I'm creating is from my own world. Like this is a memoir piece. Like, I'm like, I can do this. And then, it's always, and then the classics, right? He's like, we don't make mistakes. We just have happy little accidents. So I'm like, however this turns out, it's not going to be a mistake, right? And then this one, again, especially when that critical voice came in, like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're not ready. You said, yes, you're not ready. And he has this great quote where he says, go out on a limb. That's where the fruit is. And I was like, wow, this is so great. And the other thing that I said to myself, because Bob always says this, he'll say, let's get a little crazy here. When he's painting, let's get a little crazy here. And then one of my all-time favorites, all right, he says, ever make mistakes in life? Let's make them birds. Yeah, they're birds now. So Bob Ross has been keeping me company, and I'm sharing all of those quotes with you because there might be some part of you that has been wanting to create something, and whether that's music or dance, or you want to sing, or you want to write a book, or you want to submit a piece to something, or you want to become an actress, like something in the creative arts, and you're like second guessing yourself and you're doubting yourself. And I just want to encourage you. I want to encourage you. And I want to encourage you to focus on self-belief. I want to encourage you and your creativity. I want to encourage you to find joy in your creative process. Not enough people do this. And it's one of the things I love about being a gateless writing teacher, right? It's what, like, my writing salons. I've talked to you about how I'm creating, and it's coming soon, very soon. Write Club. Write Club is coming soon. I'll tell you more about it later. But this gentle wisdom of Bob Ross's has been kind of just like on a loop in my head. And it's self-soothing, right? It's like I don't have parents, like I don't have like people. I mean, my sweetie and my friends, yes, but it's like this is like me bumping up against me and my own belief in myself. And it's like, you can do this. The secret to doing anything is believing that you can do it. Anything that I'm willing to practice, I can do, because talent is found in that. Talent is found in like doing something repetitiously again and again and again, but you got to believe it. You got to believe that you can do this. Anything you're willing to practice, you can do. And I want you to hear this, my creative kin out there, because I think we get dissuaded a lot as creatives, like as if art doesn't have value or meaning. It's like if you can't make money from it, it doesn't matter. And it's like, it's bullshit. And there are going to be times in your life where you're going to feel tempted to say yes. And you're going to whatever it is, to the proposal, to go on the date, to take the job, to move to a new city, to create something, to write something. And you're going to hear that little bastard, that little, right? That little critical voice that's trying to keep you small and make you not believe in yourself or your idea or your business or whatever it is. And there are going to be times, you guys, even though our nervous systems love certainty, we hate uncertainty. We don't like getting outside of our comfort zone. We want to know the outcome and the end result is guaranteed, but it's not. There are not guarantees. And sometimes still, the only transportation available to us is a leap of faith. And you have to say yes before you're ready. And you have to trust that you're capable. And you have to trust, right? And trust is built, in my experience, by trying things and finding out that you can do it. Surprising yourself, realizing how strong you are, how resilient you are, how creative you are, what a good problem solver you are, and how much support you actually have. Sometimes the support has to be self-generated. And whether that's your ancestors cheering you on, your spiritual team, right? I always say, our dead, your dead animals, your dead, furry kids, your family members, whatever, your balcony people, those cheerleaders. Sometimes they'll be in physical form. Sometimes they're going to be like happy ghosts, right? They're in the ethers, the muse. We are serving the muse. We are serving the gods and goddesses of the creative arts. That's what we're doing as writers. And we gotta show up. And we got to be willing to practice. We got to be willing to quote unquote make mistakes, but they're not mistakes. They're just happy little accidents. But this is who we discover who we are and what we're made of. And you guys, I have to tell you, it was not an easy leap of faith. I still am just kind of sitting here going like, holy shit, I can't believe I'm doing this. But I'm also really excited because I'm stretching myself and I'm stretching outside of my comfort zone. And I'm doing something that I was just like, if you would have told me 2 weeks ago, you're going to be in an art show called The Mothership, I would have laughed my ass off. But here we are. Here we are. So if there's something in your life that you want to say yes to, and you feel it, like you feel it deep inside, and even if you're scared, even if you're questioning it, even if you're a little bit anxious. Now, I'm not saying put yourself in harm's way. I'm not saying say yes to something delusionally, right? Like you're not going to say yes to something, like don't say yes to something that you know that you saying yes to is either going to harm yourself, harm somebody else because you don't have the qualifications, or you're going to be lying to the person who's asking you, right? Too many times I have seen people say yes to a speaking gig or say yes to a coaching, like whatever. And I'm like, this is not going to end well, right? So you got to know yourself enough, know like what you're capable of. You're still going to surprise yourself. But I'm not saying just say yes and like, who cares what happens? Fuck the consequences. I'm not saying that. But sometimes we're going to have opportunities show up. We're going to have like situations, people, whatever, places. And sometimes we're going to have to say yes before we feel 100% ready. I'm saying yes. I hope you're going to say yes to your next little adventure, your next little like, oh my God. And if you are in town, if you are in Concord and you're around on May 8th, I would love for you to come to the reception. Come say hi. 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. at the 11th Letter Writing Gallery on Main Street, 146 North Main Street in downtown Concord. I would love to see you. You'll get to meet Jocelyn. You'll get to see this great artwork. And I really want to support. The 11th Letter is such a cool place. Jocelyn, like I said, is so lovely, so fantastic, so creative, and she's fucking funny. She's wonderful. So come make some new friends and keep your ears peeled if you're a writer. If you're a writer and you're local, keep your ears peeled. If you're a writer and you're not local to me, still keep your ears peeled because something's coming down the tracks. And I can't wait to invite you into it. Okay, you guys. Thank you so much for listening. I hope this was helpful in some way. I hope you're not just like, oh, she told us this whole story. But really, this is a love letter from my writer's heart to yours, from my creative heart to yours. I think it's just so important. It's one of the ways that I feel most alive and most like myself is when I am writing and when I'm storytelling and when I'm communicating. It's why I love having this podcast. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. I hope some of you will join me. I would love to see you. And wherever you are out there, wherever you go, may you leave yourself and the animals and the people and the planet and the environment better than how you first found it. Wherever you go, may you and your energy and your love and your presence and your art be a blessing. Bye.